On the night of November 29, 1989, two Belgian gendarmes were driving a road in eastern Belgium, near a town called Eupen. They saw a triangle in the sky, silent, three fixed white lights at the corners, a pulsing red light in the middle. Within an hour, 30 other groups of witnesses filed reports of the same shape. That was the first night. The Belgian Air Force did not call the reports a mistake. The Belgian UFO wave lasted from late November 1989 through the spring of 1990. The Belgian gendarmerie logged reports across the country. Most came from the eastern provinces, Liège, Namur, Hainaut. The reported shape was consistent, a silent triangle, low in the sky, three fixed white lights on the corners, a red or pulsing light at the center, slow drifting, then sometimes sudden acceleration. Witnesses came from ordinary backgrounds: police officers, off-duty military, engineers, farmers driving home from work. Some sightings involved a single witness, others involved dozens of people in the same location at the same time. One institution took the reports seriously from the start. That was the Belgian gendarmerie itself. Many of the witnesses were their own officers, on duty, trained to describe what they saw plainly. A civilian research group called SOBEPS handled the documentation. SOBEPS was founded in Brussels in 1971. Its work was to collect, catalogue, and study reports of unexplained aerial phenomena. By the end of the wave, SOBEPS had gathered roughly 2,000 witness statements. Watching all of this from inside the Belgian Air Force was a colonel named Wilfried de Brouwer. He was the chief of operations at the time. The wave produced two nights that would become well known in the record. The first was the opening night, November 29, 1989. In the region around Eupen, on the German border, Belgian gendarmes documented what they described as a silent, triangular craft. It moved slowly at low altitude. It shone spotlights toward the ground. It carried three fixed white lights at the corners and a pulsing red light at the center. Over that single night, the gendarmerie recorded more than 100 separate witness reports. The second famous night was March 30, 1990. Just before 11 at night, Belgian air traffic controllers began receiving radar contacts that could not be identified. Ground observers, including gendarmes, reported the same objects visually. Two F-16 fighters were scrambled from Beauvechain Air Base. The pilots were Captain Yves Mielbergs and Lieutenant Rudy Verreit. Over the next 75 minutes, they made 9 intercept attempts. They achieved 3 brief radar locks. Their radar showed a target changing altitude by tens of thousands of feet in a matter of seconds. Speed jumps far past the limits of the aircraft they were flying. Neither pilot ever saw the target with his own eyes. Both landed at Beauvechain just after 1 in the morning. The Belgian Air Force did not stay silent about what happened. On July 11, 1990, Colonel Wilfried de Brouwer held a press conference in Evere in Brussels. He was accompanied by Major Pierre Lambrechts, the officer who had authored the internal Air Force report on the March 30 intercept. De Brouwer stood in uniform. He showed the radar plots. He said the Air Force could not identify the nature or the origin of the objects. He described the observed behavior as beyond the performance limits of any aircraft the Air Force could name. He did not claim the objects were extraterrestrial. He did not offer a preferred explanation. He asked the public to keep reporting what they saw. That press conference is what makes the Belgian case unusual in the wider UFO literature. Most Western air forces, when radar operators log an unidentified aircraft they cannot resolve, either deny the event took place or file the paperwork somewhere quiet. The Belgian Air Force did the opposite. It released its report. and it put a senior officer in front of a camera to answer questions about it. So what actually holds up under scrutiny? The Lambrecht's report is a real document. It was written by a Belgian Air Force major. It was released publicly by the Air Force at the July 1990 press conference. That is not disputed by anyone. Inside the report, the radar tracks from the March 30 intercept are described as anomalous. Sudden altitude changes, sudden speed changes, momentary contacts that did not correspond to any registered aircraft in Belgian or NATO-controlled airspace that night. The report also documents what did not happen. The two F-16 pilots did not achieve visual contact. There is no gun camera footage because there was nothing on screen to photograph. The physical evidence from the intercept is the radar tape and the pilot testimony. That is the entire physical record. Beyond the F-16 night, there is the mass of witness testimony. SOBEPS logged around 2,000 reports across the whole wave. Some are single witness, many are multi-witness, some are gendarmerie, some are civilian. The distribution across time and geography roughly matches what you would expect from a real event moving through the region. There is one famous photograph from the wave. It is called the Petit Rechin photograph. It was taken in April 1990. It shows a dark triangle with 3 glowing corner lights and a central red light. For 21 years, it was treated as the strongest visual evidence for the case. The skeptical case has 3 main parts. The first is that famous photograph. In 2011, a Belgian man named Patrick Maréchal appeared on the Belgian television network RTL. He admitted the Petit Rechin photograph was a hoax that he had made. He described the method. He built a small triangle out of painted styrofoam. He put 3 flashlights on the corners. He hung it on a piece of string, backlit it, and photographed it. He said the goal was to see whether he could fool the country. He fooled the country. For over 2 decades, the Petit Rechin photograph was reprinted in books, magazines, and television documentaries as the strongest visual proof of what the Belgian witnesses had described. It was not proof. The most reproduced image from the wave was a homemade fake, made by one man with styrofoam and flashlights. The second part of the skeptical case is the F-16 radar data. In the years after the press conference, technical reviewers argued that the 3 brief radar locks recorded by the 2 F-16s were, in fact, the 2 F-16s locking each other during the intercept. Other momentary contacts have been attributed to a known atmospheric radar phenomenon called Bragg scattering. This explanation is not endorsed by the pilots. It has become the mainstream official interpretation. The third part is the wave itself. Belgian skeptics, including Mark Hallett and Wim van Utrecht, have argued that the wave shows the signature of a media-driven mass reporting event. Once the triangle shape entered the news, subsequent witnesses saw triangles. None of these 3 arguments explains all of the reports. Some of the incidents in the Belgian record remain unresolved. That is the actual state of the file. SOBEPS spent the next 4 years processing what they had collected. In 1991, the organization published the first volume of a 2-part collective book, Vagues d'OVNI sur la Belgique. In 1994, they published the second volume. Together, the 2 books run to about 1,000 pages. The contributors included Auguste Meessen, a theoretical physicist at the Catholic University of Louvain. The Belgian government never issued an official conclusion about the wave. The Air Force did not repeat the July 1990 press conference. Colonel de Brouwer eventually retired as a Major General and Deputy Chief of Staff of the Belgian Air Force. In 2007, de Brouwer went further. He appeared at a press event in Washington, D.C., alongside other retired military officers from around the world. He described the Belgian intercept in plain language. He repeated that the Belgian Air Force had never been able to identify what its radar tracked that March night. The Belgian wave sits in an unusual place in the UFO record. The most famous photograph turned out to be a hoax. The most famous radar contacts have a technical explanation on the table. The most famous night of the wave ended with 2 experienced fighter pilots landing safely, having seen nothing with their own eyes. And yet, the Belgian Air Force, the institution with the actual radar and the actual pilots, chose to hold a public press conference about it. It released its own report. It did not classify the paperwork. It sent a colonel, who would later retire as a major general, to answer questions about it in uniform. That is the part of the story that does not fully resolve. Governments do not usually put a senior officer in front of a camera to explain something they are trying to make go away. Belgium did. The record they left behind is imperfect. Some of the visual evidence collapsed. Some of the radar evidence is contested, but the paperwork is real. And it was released on the record by the people whose job it was to know.